Okay, good evening, everybody. We're going to get this meeting started here. Thank you. Welcome to the Operation and Public Safety Committee meeting. Today is Tuesday, March 1st. So, call the meeting to order. Kim, roll call, please.
Thank you, Council President. Council President Boyce.
Here.
Council Member Fincher. Here. Council Member Kaur. Here. Council Member Larmer.
Here.
Council Member Michaud.
Here.
Council Member Thomas.
Here.
Council Member Troutner.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got 4 things. Is it 5? We have 5 on our items tonight on our agenda. We went through 1 and 2. On number 3, can I ask for approval for the agenda?
So moved.
Oh, pardon me, Mr. President.
Changes.
I didn't see you. I'm sorry.
That's
Yes,
all
sir.
right. Just wanted to let you know, staff recommends the committee remove item 4E, the Equity Strategic Plan update. That needs a little bit more internal work, and then we'll bring it back to a committee agenda in the very near future.
Thank you, sir. You did tell me that earlier. All right. So, like approval on the agenda, minus 4E.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. In discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 4, approval of the minutes from February 15th. Can I entertain a motion, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would move for approval of the minutes for February 15th, 2022.
Second.
Motion is second. In discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Let the record show unanimous pass. We'll move on to payment of the bills, which is something we do every meeting here for the public safety. So I can entertain a motion for the payment of the bills.
So moved.
Second.
In discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. Move on to 4C, authorize the transfer to the lodging tax. Paula Painter.
Good afternoon. I'm Paula Painter, Finance Director, and I am here to seek your authorization to be able to transfer $285,000 to our lodging tax fund. As you all know, the city did receive $28.4 million grant from for ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act recover monies. As a group, a framework was approved in which $10 million of the grant dollars could be used for revenue recovery. If you recall, back with the 2022 mid-biennium budget adjustment, we did earmark $150,000 for the lodging tax fund, but we hadn't really budgeted that. That $150,000 earmarking represented the losses through 2020. When we start looking at the losses through 2021, that is now estimated to be $285,000. So tonight, what I'd like to do, instead of just earmarking those dollars, I'd like to go ahead and ask for your authorization to create that budget and transfer $285,000 to the lodging tax fund. We will continue to monitor that fund as we move forward, as well as we're working on a bigger project of looking at all of the city's losses holistically and to be able to come back with you for a plan for the remainder of those dollars. And I would be happy to answer any questions that you have at this time.
Any question? Councilmember Larmer.
Just curious, for this one, like, why now? You're going to be coming back with some other recommendations. Why lodging tax right now?
Okay, because the committee actually goes through a process to be able to do a granting process with the LTAC, and it would be great to be able to open that up and to have those dollars that they haven't had available to them to be able to include in that process. And they only do this process twice a year. So if we continue to delay that, it continues to delay their ability to really get those funds in the community.
Yeah, the grant is twice a year. We got next grant is coming up in March, and we have one in September. Lots of people waiting to be able to have opportunity to utilize those grants. So
And do you still sit on that committee?
Yes, I still represent that committee, yes. Thank you.
Me.
I don't even say you, but I assume it's you. They got a weird name, or you changed your name?
I did. It stands for water closet.
Yes, sir.
Paula, the committee, does it still support in some way the Seattle, I don't want to say Seattle Chamber, but it was something else, Seattle Travel or Seattle, do you know what I'm talking about? No, Bill's saying no, so that answers that question.
Yeah.
So does the bulk of it go out to advertising then, or where would you say that it goes to support the city?
Council President Council President Boyce, would you like to go ahead and answer that one?
Yes, I will.
I've been
Thank
saying
you.
Troutner
Thank
for a
you. Yeah.
very long time.
Yeah.
Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
There's quite a few. Most of it is local, where we ask for local people to come and talk about project. KDP is one of those. We do have a firm that we use for advertisement that we use. Occasionally, we do get requests from the hockey team. And in return, they advertise all of our stuff about the city of Kent and also the bus that they drive on. They got a big advertisement on. So mainly there's a process you got to go through, how you're going to use the money, make sure it's for Kent advertisement, and then you have to come back. We give you half of it up front, and then you come back and talk about what you did, what your success, and then you get the other half.
Good. How about the chamber?
The chamber has been requested fund in the past.
Yes.
I would assume they'll be requesting again in the future. So we really work close with the chamber, so I suspect they'll be requesting funds.
All right. Thank you. Thank you both.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, can I entertain a motion for this, sir?
I move to authorize the transfer of $285,000 to lodging tax fund to recognize estimated revenue losses incurred between 2020 and 2021.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. Thank you. We'll move on to our last item, item D, and this is the investment report coming from Joe. Joe, please.
Thank you. I'm Joe Bartlemay. I'm the Cash and Investment Officer in our Finance Department, and today I have investment reports for the fourth quarter of 2021. So as of the December 31st, 2021, we had cash in the bank at just over $15.8 million, earning 0.7%. That's an earnings credit with U.S. Bank. It helps offset our banking fees. Overnight maturity, of course, because it's cash. We have our Washington State Local Government Investment Pool, earning 0.091%. That is our short-term liquid fund. We can access our money as needed. It's overnight maturity and just over $80 million at 12/31. And then we have our long-term portfolio managed by our investment advisors at PFM. And that's earning at 12/31 0.9%, with an average maturity of 931 days, just about 2.5 years. We had a market value of $202.9 million at year end and a book value of $203.7 million. So we are used to seeing the market value higher than our book value because of the rate environment we were in. But with the current market rates are increasing, which usually has a negative effect on the market value. That represents an unrealized loss of it's the estimated value at that point in time. So we didn't liquidate our portfolio at that time, so it wasn't an actual loss. But it's very common to see as rates change, as rates go up or down, it's very common to see those changes in market value. The securities in our portfolio have a stated value at maturity. They're bonds, they're not stocks, so they have a stated value at maturity and they have stated interest earnings. So if you hold them to maturity, you get exactly what you purchased. And the market value is reported on our year-end financial statements. And then the
Joe,
pie chart below, sorry, again.
I'm sorry, Joe, Councilman Thomas have a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Joe, I'm looking at this and I'm puzzled in a way. You've got 15 million there, market value 15 million at 0.7%. You got 80 million at 0.09%. And they're both for overnight. I mean, can you explain that, why we don't put more into the higher earning?
Absolutely. So the 0.7% in the cash, that's an earnings credit at U.S. Bank. So that offsets our U.S. Bank fees, but it's not paid interest. So in other words, we can earn enough to offset those fees, but we can't earn additional earnings interest for that. So, so the state pool is our next option for our liquid funds. So yes, if we were allowed to earn that much interest in our cash, we absolutely would consider that.
Okay, then I guess that answers that. Thank you. So rather than the Washington State LGIP, are there feds that you can go to earn higher?
There are other options in.
Are they just more risky?
Yes, and our investment advisors have, at our recent meeting, did bring up the idea of proposing a short-term investment pool that would be a more liquid fund for sort of those medium to short-term investments. And they're providing some information to us, like comparing commercial paper yields as opposed to the state investment pool. So there probably is an opportunity where we can look at moving some of those short-term funds there if we choose to do so.
Would you get back to us the next time we meet and see if we have got any development? I don't know if you work with Paula on this as well, but I assume so. Because 0.09 and short term is overnight. I mean, that's great. I mean, but even if it was just a little longer, but raised a higher interest rate.
Yes. It isn't much, yeah.
I'd sure be interested in that. Thank you, Joe.
You bet, yeah. And just a note there, as rates increase, and the feds are predicting rate increases over the year, up to 4 to 6 rate increases, the state investment pool does tend to react fairly quickly to that, so we may see additional yield, but you're right, there is other opportunity there.
Okay, thank you.
So that pie chart just demonstrates a significant portion of our investment pool in the green there in U.S. Treasuries, and the red there is the state investment pool. So about a third is in the other available investment types. So this next slide shows the 5-quarter comparison by security type. So this shows cash at the bottom there. It's that steady green line. We keep enough to cover those bank fees and our short-term liquidity needs. The state investment pool is that purple line. So as you can see, we've done some reallocating over the course of the year, moved some more of our funds into the long-term portfolio from that state investment pool to try to earn a little bit of extra earnings since we didn't need our as much liquidity. And then the dark line at the top is total cash and investments. And you can see in the mid-year, we received those one-time funds, those ARPA funds and streamlined sales tax one-time funds. So you can see a significant increase over the 5 quarters at year end. And here we have a 3-year comparison of total cash and investments. And this demonstrates those typical cash flows, but again, adds those one-time revenues. The top line in the red there is 2021, and you can see where we received those one-time funds, those ARPA funds at $14.1 million, and the streamlined sales tax at $3.6 million mid-year. So that really boosted our total portfolio up to higher than we're used to seeing in the mid-year. Next, we have our 5-quarter comparison of interest earnings. So the blue bar on the left, the dark blue is the general fund only. The lighter blue is all other funds combined earnings. So you can see, earnings have decreased with declining rates in 2021, but they've held up relatively well, especially with the reallocation of the additional funds to the long-term portfolio. That's helped us to earn a little bit more yield, as that long-term portfolio, as we just talked about, really outperforms the state investment pool. Here we have our total cash and investments by fund, and this is a preliminary report as our books for 2021 are not completely closed yet, so there is opportunity for a little bit of fluctuation. We have large balances in the general fund, the various capital funds and utility funds, as well as the insurance funds. Those ARPA funds that we talked about, in the $14.1 million are in the 1900 fund, the other operating capital projects, and the streamlined sales taxes in the 1500 fund or the capital resources fund. And here we have the portfolio summary of our long-term portfolio managed by PFM. So this excludes cash and the state investment pool. If you look down in the lower left there, you'll see our laddered maturities. We're pretty heavy in the 1 to 2 year. That will actually probably serve us well as rates are projected to increase over the course of the year. As investments mature, we'll have an opportunity to repurchase it at higher yields. The weighted average maturity is 931 days, or about 2.5 years. And here we have sector allocation analytics, and this demonstrates our policy compliance. This does include cash in the state investment pool. So you can see that blue bar, the blue portion represents the portion or the percentage of our total portfolio that each security type has, and the remaining, the white portion, represents the allowable percentage that we could have in each investment type. So we could, per se, have 100% of our portfolio in U.S. Treasuries or federal agencies. We're well within compliance per our policy in all the various investment types. And lastly, we have our sector allocation review. And this gives us a 4-quarter review of this is just the managed portfolio, again, not the cash and state investment pool. But it gives the review or the allocation by security type and then the portfolio total, a 4-quarter comparison. So you can see again that over the course of the year, we've increased that total managed portfolio significantly, and the allocation between security types fluctuates a little bit there. And that's all I have for you. Are there any questions?
Any question for Joe? Okay, don't see any. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Any pardon? Yeah. Okay, that's all we have for tonight. We'll adjourn and we'll reconvene at 5 o'clock. Thank you.